do, Seaniemo, is make a wrestling show. Oh, and you've done some wrestling episodes, but that needs to be your main focus. It really does. You really have something you could do with that. You actually know about wrestling. You have a vested interest in it. You own WWE stock. Your family likes wrestling, at least your kids seem to, and your wife tolerates it whether she likes it or not. She at least tolerates it. So that's something you should focus on. Whenever you've talked about wrestling, you talk about it with an authority and with a credibility that you don't have with boxing. Because you obviously watch wrestling, or at least keep up with wrestling more. That's a weekly thing for you. I'm sure you watch Raw and SmackDown every single week, as long as you can. I heard you do the fan access. I saw your little fan access show there, with the calling the match, the commentary on the match. I was really surprised. I was impressed. It had some little errors in it, but I mean, it was probably your first time to try to call a match like that, and especially on such short notice. Was that at Fan Access, or was that at home on your computer? Not real sure, but with just a little practice, you could do commentary. I mean, for a first try like that was really good. Really impressive commentary. You actually talked with a good speed, calling the moves, calling the match. You had a good flow about you, and it just shows further that you know wrestling better than you know boxing, and you should do a show. And that another thing, wrestling is a more popular sport, so you'd get more viewership, most likely. There'd at least be the potential for more viewership, because wrestling's a more popular sport. I used to follow wrestling, used to know all about it like I do with boxing. Actually, I still feel like I knew even more about wrestling back then than I do about boxing. Boxing's a sport with a very scattered history and more worldwide history, where wrestling, I've obviously focused on more of the entertainment side, but I did know all the history back to Frank Gotch, back to how wrestling went from real to fake, or scripted, predetermined, whatever you want to call it. They used to have matches that would go on 3, 4, 5 hours, and people didn't want to sit there and watch that. Plus, quite frankly, it was pretty boring. You would have someone in a hammerlock. Some guy would have some other guy in a hammerlock or in a head hold for 2.5 hours without much movement whatsoever. So they had to do something about that to liven up the matches, and that's when they saw they could make more entertaining matches by making it predetermined, and they of course kept it a secret till the newspapers blew the whistle on it, said this is fake. Then wrestling really lost a lot of its credibility and became a laughingstock. It still never fully recovered from that, although I mean it's definitely had its height. Its height was certainly back in the NWO days, the Generation X days, was sort of its peak, the Stone Cold Steve Austin days, which had passed. Then WWE made the mistake, I think, of buying out all their competition. Yeah, in the short term it did well, and in the long term, yeah, they're going to make a lot of money. They're making tons of money, but without competition, as far as a fan perspective, it's not good for the fans, because they're the only show in town. So when you're the only show in town, you don't have to try to be good. You can do whatever you want. And it doesn't matter, because if anyone's wanting to see wrestling, they got WWE, or they got nothing. I mean, yeah, they got the NWA, TNA, whatever it is. But, come on, that's hardly competition. That's almost like my show competing with your show right now. Nowhere close right now. That's kind of a comparison, except theirs are even more widespread. Even though, from what I've seen, TNA doesn't have a bad product. It's just everyone's heard of WWE, whatever. Now I've seen some recent shows here and there, just kind of looking. I don't know who these new guys are. Carlito, Batista, I don't know these people, and they annoy me because I don't know them. They look like jobbers to me. I mean, I saw Bautista coming in whenever I was getting out of wrestling, and so to me, he's still that jobber that was back then. Some guy that should be losing to, like, the Hurricane or something. He's on that level to me, but I don't... but that's where you still know these people. You know these people, and you can go in and explain who these people are. You could do... There's all kinds of shows you could do with wrestling. I can think of tons right now. Going over who the champions are, who you think the champions will become, how storylines will go, or how you think they will go, and how you think they should go. There's plenty of stuff out there. The roster split, do you like it or do you not? I could not stand the roster split. That's one thing that I think is one of the stupidest things they've done. And that's some potential that you're letting slip through your fingers, I believe, by continuing to do a boxing show that no one's watching when you could do a wrestling show that you know about, so people would definitely watch. Plus, it's a bigger sport, or it's more popular. And if anyone gives you any crap about doing a wrestling show, wrestling's fake, all that kind of crap, ignorant statement anyhow. Anyone that says wrestling is fake and just sums it up like that. No, wrestling is not fake. You cannot fake gravity. Is it predetermined? Sure. Is it scripted? Sure. The matches, they know the outcomes going in, of course. But to just call it fake, fake has a connotation, a negative connotation that you can also relate to the word that can be easily correlated with easy. Fake, easy. No. The wrestlers deal with tremendous amounts of pain, and they're some of the best athletes out there. Not all of them. I mean, you got guys like Big Show, or whatever he called himself, that are fat and out of shape, looking at least. But they're some of the best athletes there are. They're huge, and these guys are true athletes. Most of them not unsimilar to boxing, and that they get used up by these evil promoters and everything. These promoters use them for all they're worth. They try to get them to come back. Some of these guys stay past their way past their prime, are still out there at 40 trying to do like they did when they were 20, and you got that kind of crap going on just like in boxing. And then half your wrestlers end up dead from drugs or suicide or something like that. It's a tough business. And it's something that should not just be called fake and should not just be insulted in that way. And you could help explain that to people with a show. Keep making the shows. Do what you're going to do. Good luck with it. People watch Seaniemo's show. He definitely needs the viewership, so watch it. Check out some of his shows. I want him to get some views. I want him to keep making his shows, if nothing else, just to entertain me. So anyhow, want to set me up as the bad guy? Fine, go right ahead. I don't really care. boxingforreal@gmail.com. Be sure to email us if you want to, and we'll try to get to them. See ya.